For too long, we've been tied to the conventional definition of high intelligence, envisioning a math whiz, a walking encyclopedia, or a relentless debater. However, these definitions are already a bit outdated. Nowadays, even what it means to be an intellectual has really shifted, often going way beyond standard, long-standing ideas. And today, we will discuss a different, far rarer form of intellect. Not the intelligence of the human calculator, not about encyclopedic knowledge. We're going to talk about the ultimate magic, mastering the very instrument you use to perceive the world, your own mind. Imagine a different reality. What if the most powerful form of intelligence has absolutely nothing to do with the volume of data you can force into the cramped corridors of your brain? What if true genius lies exclusively in the orchestration of that data, in how you mold it, command it, and direct its flow? This is the territory of metacognitive IQ. Stripped to its essence, metacognition is the capacity to think about one's own thinking, to step outside the stream of consciousness and observe it almost as a stranger might. While ordinary thought simply runs, the metacognitive mind runs a second process alongside the first, a watchful, tireless supervisor that audits your assumptions, catches biases, and adjusts strategy in real time. And if you think of traditional intelligence as the engine, metacognition is the masterful driver behind the wheel. Without that guiding hand, even the most powerful car will just fly off into a ditch at the very first sharp turn. So, you're probably asking yourself the next logical question. How do you spot this quality in yourself, your friends, or your family? What does metacognitive intelligence actually look like? Well, let's break down the signs. And the first indicator of this intelligence might seem the most counterintuitive. It shows up as intellectual humility. Specifically, in the ease with which you can say 3 short words. I don't know. It's the calm realization that you don't have the answers to every question. A metacognitive thinker doesn't view his opinion as a marker of their identity, but rather uses it strictly as a tool. And when an instrument proves inadequate, a sensible person sets it down without ceremony. This is just such a massive mindset shift. Step back and take an honest look at how most of us behave. How much of our energy, how much of our daily cognitive effort is spent not on actual learning, but into projecting the appearance of knowing? We perform confidence we don't possess. We hold positions that we secretly doubt. We nod in agreement while listening to explanations we don't fully grasp because the alternative, admitting our confusion, admitting ignorance, feels like exposure, like weakness. A metacognitive thinker, however, has placed their bet on something completely different. That finding the truth is a richer prize than winning the argument. They would rather say, I was wrong, and update their understanding than say, I was right, and remain exactly where they are. Okay, the following 2 signs, 2 internal disciplines, are based on this foundation of humility: the art of pausing and the analysis of one's own feelings. And these 2 things always go hand in hand. Observe a truly sharp mind addressing a difficult issue, and you will notice a pause, a moment of silence before an answer is delivered. That silence is not hesitation, it is precision, a rapid internal audit of context, consequence, and nuance, pursued not to impress anyone, but because the best answer is almost never the fastest one. During this pause, metacognitive thinkers also examine their emotional landscape. They do not suppress their feelings, nor do they surrender to them. Instead, they analyze the emotions triggered by the task at hand, asking themselves why they arose and whether they are actually helping or hinder to solve the problem. In a world hardwired to react impulsively, This ability to remain fiercely clear-headed under pressure is an absolute superpower. Now we arrive at the last two signs, the ones that reveal how all this inner work eventually surfaces, how it becomes visible in the world beyond the self. The first of these is about communication. There is a persistent myth that intellectual depth announces itself through complexity, that the surest way to signal intelligence is to use language dense with jargon, to construct sentences so layered and intricate that they require decoding. In reality, the opposite is closer to the truth. Simplicity. To reduce a tangled, sprawling subject to its essential core, without sacrificing the nuance that makes it worth understanding, is an act of profound intellectual mastery. It signals not just familiarity with a subject, but genuine understanding of it. Think of Einstein's famous insistence that if you cannot explain something to a child, you do not yet understand it yourself. Think of the greatest teachers you have ever encountered, the ones whose explanations felt, somehow, like unlocking, like a door you had been pressing on for years that finally swung open effortlessly. They were not simplifying for your benefit. They were simplifying because they'd done the heavy lifting to understand the heart of the matter. And then we arrive at the fifth and final sign. This trait speaks for itself. It's cognitive flexibility. For most people, an argument is a territory to be defended, and changing one's mind is a form of surrender. To a metacognitive thinker, being proven wrong is never a personal defeat. It is a thrilling opportunity to calibrate their worldview. They navigate life recognizing that the purpose of intellectual exchange is not to defend entrenched ground, but to step ever closer to the truth. When you bring these 5 qualities together, humility, precision, emotional awareness, the gift of clarity, and the courage to change your mind, you're not just looking at a portrait of a smart person in the traditional sense. You get a picture of someone who is the true master of their own mind. And that mastery is not something you either have or you don't. It is something you can practice every day, in every conversation, in every moment of discomfort that invites you to either react or reflect. Your traditional IQ helps you navigate the world as it presents itself to you. Your metacognitive IQ helps you navigate something far more intricate and consequential: yourself. One helps you solve problems. The other helps you understand the nature of the solver. And ultimately, this second skill, the internal one, might just be the most important ability we can master in our lives. Ask yourself honestly, do you have the habit of questioning your own opinion? Or do you tend to find yourself defending a belief simply because it is yours, because you built it, because it is familiar, because letting it go would feel like losing a piece of yourself? The answer to that question does not merely define the shape of your intelligence right now, in this moment. It defines the trajectory of your intelligence, how far it can travel, how much it can grow, how close to the truth it might one day arrive. The rarest kind of mind is not the one that knows the most. It is the one that is always, always willing to know better.